Alright, so today I want to go over some more detailed information about RX renewal requests. You need to check this every day because if it's not checked periodically, the automatic service, if the prescriptions aren't being refilled in a timely manner within a few days, the service gets turned off, so that's why it has to be checked every day, or else then we get all these pieces of paper instead of electronic version, which is much more efficient. And there are three tricks that I want everybody to be very well aware of. So let me start with the one on the bottom, C. So every time you're going to have to do this. You're going to have to match the provider's name that's coming in with the electronic request for a refill with the provider in our EHR. And that's because they list it as, for example, Dr. Smith, but our office, our EHR lists Dr. Smith as Dr. Smith in Antioch, Dr. Smith in Concord, Dr. Smith in Brentwood. And so you're always going to have to pick and match the provider to the one that they're talking about in the electronic prescription renewal. And then item B, occasionally this is an annoying one where the spelling of the patient's name coming in from the pharmacy is slightly different than the patient's name, how it's spelled in our EHR, and then the EHR can't find a match, so you have to manually go in and put the correct spelling in and tell the computer, the EHR, who this patient is about, or which patient this is about. And then also occasionally the pharmacy information has not yet been saved in the EHR, and so when you go to sign to renew the prescription, when it e-sends that prescription back, it leaves in the section in regards to the pharmacy, it leaves it blank because it hasn't been saved yet in the EHR. So you have to make sure you mentally note what pharmacy it's coming from so that you can enter that information if you're asked when you say it's okay to renew the prescription. So I'm going to walk you through a live patient and cover it up with all my blue sticky notes. So bear with me if I turn away because I'm going to be covering up patient information to not get in trouble from HIPAA. So what we're going to do is we're first going to find where you get the RX renewal request. And remember, you first go to Tools. So here up here, Tools. As a focus, boy, hard to see. But there it is. It's in Tools here right between Administration and Web. So click on Tools. And then you get this big blue screen. And on the left-hand column, you get, it says under Tools, there's a whole bunch of stuff. At the very bottom, second to the bottom actually, RX renewal request, click on that, and then you get this white box, and you get, it says prescription renewal refill request, and then it says provider, it has my name, and it says refresh, get requests. So I'm going to go to, this is how I search every time, I go to all providers, and then I hit this button, refresh. Now I'm going to turn away because it's going to have a patient information on it that I'm going to have to cover up here for a second. So I'm going to click on this blue bar right here, and it's going to give me the patient information. So excuse me while I wait for that to come up. There we go. Now I'm covering up the patient information. Please enjoy my lovely kitchen in the meantime. Okay, now I've covered up the patient information on this page. So what it has the provider who needs to refill the prescription, that's Dr. Yang, the location, Dr. Yang, has the patient information, their name, their date of birth, which I've covered up here in paper, and then it has the prescription, in this case Orthonovum, and the number of refills, and then the pharmacy it's coming from, so CVS Pharmacy, and it's that number there, and then it has the time that it was received. So in this case, it's coming from basically earlier yesterday, early afternoon. Okay, so that's the way it shows up on here. So that line, and then the patient information is covered up. That's where the patient information will be kind of a third of the way in. So now I'm going to double click on this line, excuse me as I turn away here, because again I'm going to have to cover up patient information, and sometimes you have to double click on it a couple times. It's a little finicky. Excuse me, I'm just trying to get this stupid thing to open up. It says click row to get prescription. I am clicking the row. Come on. And also, too, I'm doing this one-handed, so it's a little annoying. Excuse me. Well, if I could just get the stupid thing to open up. There we go. Okay, finally. Okay, now I have to cover up the patient's information, so excuse me while I do so. And because last time I left a little bit of patient information exposed, so I had to redo it. So excuse me as I take a little bit more time to make sure I've covered everything up. Almost there, guys. See my beautiful vacuum cleaner? Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. I am the Great Oz. Okay, let me make sure I don't have anything here. Yeah, those are just numbers. Those are just numbers. This numbers. That's patient information. I got that covered up. Numbers, old medicines. Yep. Okay, now I can show you. Okay, here's what you're going to see when you get to this screen. So after you click on it, so excuse me because I'm doing it one-handed. So on the left, you're going to see information received from pharmacy. So let me hold this, and while I'm going to point my finger. Information received from pharmacy is what you're seeing here. And then on the right, you're going to see the EHR information in this column. So all this information is what we have in the EHR. Everything here is what's coming in from electronically from the pharmacy, and this is what the information they have. Now, it's from the CVS store. Right here you can see CVS store, and then it's supposed to be Lucia, but it's highlighted in red. That means the computer doesn't know who the heck this is, and that's because we list Lucia slightly different. It's the location is Lucia, and then this, what covered up in blue, is the patient information. It has the name, the date of birth, and all that stuff that I've just covered up, and then there's some numbers that show up here, and then the prescription again is down here, and how it's written, and electronically what they want to refill. And so you read through all that and say, yeah, that's fine. Now you have to come over here and sort of take care of those three areas. So the one that you always have to do is this top one. See where it says red, it can't find Dr. Yang? Well, here it says no match found, so we have to come over here and select this little button on the very right. So let me come over here. You can see my cursor. So I pick that little button, see how it highlights blue, and then you have to pick a provider. And so I'm coming down here and say it's just Dr. Yang. We're going to select Dr. Yang, and then it turns blue. There's Dr. Yang. Now we're all happy. The third item that you may have to correct is this part that's covered up with all this paper. So basically this is where the patient's name, date of birth is, and the address. And so when it's found it perfectly, it's already just listed in there. You don't need to do anything. But occasionally it'll say in here, no patient found, no information found. And so then what you have to do is, you see where it says, kind of put my cursor there too, but you see where it says search. You're going to have to click on that search box and enter in manually the patient's name, exactly how it's spelled in our EHR. Now, how do you do that? Well, this is a bit of a pain. You're going to have to come out. This is how I do it. I come out and I come over and I search for the patient's name in the chart, enter the part of their name or their date of birth, and I write it down on a piece of paper exactly how it's spelled, last name, comma, first name. Then I come back over to Tools, I come back over to the Rx renewal request, I come back through the provider, I pick the patient refill request I'm talking about, and I come back to this screen, so obviously it took like 4 steps to come back, so it's a bit of a pain, and then I enter in that patient information exactly as I did. Now remember, when you do that, this part will be blank up here, which provider you need to match again, so you need to pick out who's refilling the prescription, in this case Dr. Yang. And now a third thing you need to make note of, again, before you hit yes to everything, is that you note, okay, this is the CVS store, Clayton Road in Clayton. So you remember that. So then when you say, yeah, everything is okay to refill, you're going to hit here, sign, save, and send approval. When you do that, it's just going to do just like a regular prescription. It's going to say, well, we needed to fix some things, and you're going to have to say okay to match everything so that the instructions make sense. And then it's going to e-send that prescription to the pharmacy. Now, if the pharmacy has not been saved, this one in the EHR, you're going to have to manually enter that into the eSend little box. So that's why you need to make note of it. So those are the 3 things, again, that I had listed here, and that's why I wrote them out. You're going to have to always find the provider name to match. That, again, is going to be right here on the right under EHR selection. The first line, you're going to have to pick the provider who is refilling this prescription. Occasionally, you're going to have to do an EHR and patient match to make sure that the computer can find it. So that means you're going to have to go hunt the patient's name, write out the spelling we have in our system, and then hit the right here. I have it covered up. You're going to have to hit the search button after you've entered the patient's name right here exactly as we have it spelled. And then lastly, make sure that you're making note of the patient's, where the pharmacy information is coming from, so that you know what pharmacy, in case you have to enter that in later in the process after you say it's okay. So again, I get that information here on the left where it's coming from, CVS Pharmacy. So that's basically the setup for how you do this. So I've covered up all the crucial information. So remember, this is the information coming from the pharmacy. This is the EHR, and the EHR and the information is trying to match each other in kind of in oneness and goodness, and you're going to have to correct some of these errors where the match didn't occur seamlessly. And once everything's been corrected and matched, the provider, the patient's name, who in the EHR, and that you like how the prescription is, then you come over here and you say sign, save, and send. Now, if you didn't want to, you can also come over here and send a denial and tell them why you're denying it, like they need to come in and make an appointment and we don't renew that prescription or whatever. But you just need to respond to this in a timely manner, or else this feature gets turned off. And when it works flawlessly, it takes literally, less than 5 seconds. But occasionally you're going to have to do a little work, and I'm just showing you in a laborious detail some of the ways that you're going to have to correct that. And once you've done it once or twice, it's actually pretty quick. It doesn't take that long. It's just a pain when the name isn't matched. That's the only thing I don't like. Everything else is pretty much flawless. Okay, so again, this is the RX renewal request. Check it once a day. Remember these 3 tips. Burn them into your cranium. Thank you very much.